Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Martin, and tonight we are talking about the Roads Not Traveled Season 10. What are the plot threads that got dropped? What are some of the possibilities where they could have veered left instead of veered right with plot elements? What did we think was going to happen and then didn't? We're going to explore all of those possibilities, but first let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Carole.
Hi, I'm Carole Stokes. I have been a fan of Supernatural since season 3. I started writing fanfic under the tag Fire Sign 10 in 2012. And I'm one of the co-hosts of the Spotify podcast, So Get This, the Lore of Supernatural Fanfiction.
Melissa?
Hi, I'm Melissa. I have been a fan. Can't talk tonight. I've been a fan since the pilot aired, and Kitty has been a fan since 2020.
Elektra?
I'm Elektra Hammond. I'm a writer and an editor, and I've been a fan since that very first episode aired until that very last episode made me cry.
Lola?
My name's Lola Laracy. I'm a writer, and I've been a fan of Supernatural since the very first episode.
And I'm Gail Martin, and Morgan Bryce. As Gail, I write epic and urban fantasy. As Morgan, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. But every modern book is one that Sam and Dean could walk into and feel right at home. Fell in love with the show halfway through season 11, binge watched 11 seasons in 4 months for the start of season 12, fell down the rabbit hole, and proudly claimed the badge of obsessed fan. So, season 10. Let's go around one idea at a time per round, and we'll just keep going on, the what ifs until we run out of time. Carole, what's your first what if?
I just have to say, I have heard you say that countless times about binging and everything, and every single time I hear it, it makes me laugh.
Same.
I'm just like, the actual thought of doing that, it just never fails to both amuse and elate me. All right, I'm gonna get in there right out of the gate. What if Dean was not cured of being a demon in only 3 episodes? What if we had Demon Dean anything longer? Season-long Demon Dean. Oh my God. The things we could have seen and experienced, the havoc he could have wreaked, especially now having seen Jensen Ackles' performance as Soldier Boy. Admittedly, the voice gets to go way, way further than they ever could have on the CW. Nonetheless, seeing Dean / Jensen as a bad guy and not just somebody so completely amoral, self-serving, has no flukes to give, would have been wonderful. Would have been grade A viewing. Watching Sam spend months trying to deal with, his brother being this cold-hearted demon, and all the shenanigans that could have happened. The summer of Dean and Crowley could have been the season of Dean and Crowley. That alone would have been endless amusement. There's just so much that we were built of.
And imagine if he actually smoldered. I mean, he smolders anyways, but imagine if there's
for real. That's right.
Smoldering for real. We'd be like,
so many things.
Who would Sam have teamed up with if Dean was a demon for that long?
Who would Sam have teamed up with?
Charlie. Maybe she would have
Well,
survived.
they even if Sam could have been teamed up with Kitty. No, Sam could have various people that they have come in and out of episodes. They could have had somebody here for a
There you
couple of
go.
episodes, somebody there. Sam dealing with being alone, because Sam doesn't deal with being alone really well. So they're alone would have been yet another rich vein of storytelling that could have been mined. And instead, we have Dean singing badly at karaoke, banging a cocktail waitress, creating a little mayhem, but nothing on the scale that could have happened. The best thing was him stalking Sam through the bunker. So what if they had given us that magnificent storyline and performance of Demon Dean for the season?
And everything you just said, him doing karaoke and banging a waitress, that's just Dean. He doesn't have to be a demon to do that.
This is true.
Yeah.
Melissa?
Mhm.
I'm going to start at the end of the season. Brother's Keeper. What if Death doesn't die? So, like, maybe Dean doesn't go to Death for help. Maybe Death refuses to help him. Maybe Death offers Dean a deal that doesn't involve killing Sam, so Dean doesn't have to kill him. No matter which way you want to put it, what if Death doesn't die? If Death doesn't die here, then we don't get Billy at the end with her shenanigans and all that nonsense. So none of that stuff involving Billy at the end of the final season happens, because that was not our Death's. That's not how he would have behaved. Like, he had completely Chicago pizza Death as opposed to Billy Death. Really handled their relationship with the Winchesters very differently. And so all of that stuff that happened in the final season with Billy and those shenanigans wouldn't have happened. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That would have been very interesting. Elektra.
Where'd the brain go? The brain just went away. What if Rowena hadn't been Crowley's mother, but instead had been his really pissed off, on again, off again ex?
Some fireworks.
Because it never made a whole lot of sense about how, she wanted to be his mom, but she didn't want to be his mom. And it was always a sort of weirdish relationship. It would have made so much more sense if she had been his ex.
Like the Starks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would have been great.
Exactly like them, with this on again, off again. I love you, but maybe we need a break, and them being very powerful at each other and deciding maybe they wanted to team up and maybe they didn't, and arguing over who gets to be in charge of hell.
And it would have made more sense with the nastiness between the two of them.
Yeah.
Like that, just like, I understand that there are terrible mothers. I'm a member of that club, having had one. But the animosity between them didn't really feel like parental. It really did feel more like an estranged couple where they just can't get past that. Elektra, I really think that's a great point. That would have been a better way to play it.
Yeah,
I think it just would have been fun to watch them, get back together and snuggle and cuddle and spend the night together, and then like try and kill each other.
Or those moments where like they're at each other's throats, and then all of a sudden they're in this passionate clinch.
I know.
I could totally see them do it.
Only seems like a couple steps away from that.
Sometimes I watch them and there's such great chemistry. I'm like, I kind of want them to, but they're mother and son, and that would be
And that's
weird.
just wrong. And I so wanted them to. So yeah, I really wanted them to not be mother and son.
Okay. Lola?
All right. So episode 7, girls. My thing is not really about like the whole plot about there's the devil brothel and stuff. I was watching it today and I was thinking, so there's this whole scene where Hannah and Castiel are talking. And Hannah is really kind of getting upset because she realized that her host had this whole life that Hannah stole her from. And she's realizing a little too late that it's not fair. And then Castiel starts talking about Jimmy Novak and about how he had a daughter and he took him away from the daughter and everything. And I was thinking, wait a second, why are they taking these people who have husbands and wives and daughters? Why are they doing that? There are plenty of people in this world who don't have anybody. Maybe they're sitting at home, nobody to go to for Christmas, or maybe, you know, for whatever reason, they're out on the street and they might like a purpose. They might want to like do something different and bigger than themselves. Why not go to someone who doesn't have the ties that Hannah, that Catherine was her host name, or Jimmy Novak had? Why do that? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it certainly didn't. It was one more reason the angels weren't really the good guys. This one has, of course, Charlie and Oz, and I wish that Charlie had been able to go off in Oz and have a romance with Dorothy. And when Felicia Day couldn't be in the show, she's off in Oz with Charlie, but not dead. And so I think that would have left the door open to bring her back, not as AU Charlie, but as our Charlie, when there was an opportunity. And just the whole idea that there could be more exploration of Oz and more of Oz's weirdness spilling into the supernatural world. I would have liked to have seen more of that than the AU that we got. So that I think was a missed opportunity.
Why didn't they just have Charlie kill the Stein that came after her with the magical weapon from Oz?
Yeah.
That she had, in her back pocket. Because
it's Charlie.
She went to Oz. And she came in to help the guys. But, she's got some stuff from Oz around because, well, she's been to Oz.
Maybe a flying monkey or two. I mean, as one
She
does.
had flying monkeys at her beck and call in case she needed help.
Yeah, I think that
the poppies or whatever that make people go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Or why didn't she have the key to Oz so that while he was busy being a pain in the ass and trying to get in, why didn't she send that thing to Sam and then just open the door to the bathroom to Oz and disappear?
Good point.
Yeah,
That's an
I like that
awesome
much
point.
better. Carole?
We're much better writers sometimes than they are.
I think we are too.
We are. We care more. We think it through.
Yeah, well, we just really like some of these characters and don't want them to die terrible deaths.
And that was actually my next one would be, what if Charlie A wasn't stupid and left her protected, warded, guarded place where she was safe to go off running into the night to this cheesy motel and, pretty much
in front of the window.
Well, Rowena was driving her nuts in her defense. Would you want to spend time in a small room with Rowena?
So what if she hadn't been killed? One way or another, whether or not she ran off, if she hadn't been killed. So many times they could have used her help. I do like that she kind of brought out a little bit of the softer side of the Winchesters. Dean very much has that older brother, little sister vibe. She and Sam are nerds and geeks, in arms together. We wouldn't have had that horrible scene where they're watching her funeral pyre and Dean saying it should be you up there to Sam, which is just under no way in any universe would he ever have said that. And so we wouldn't have had that ugly little moment. There just would have been so much more. And I'm not saying she had to be regular even, but yeah, once in a while, she goes off and does her thing. She does a tour of all the Comic Cons, around the world. and gets more tattoos and stuff. But she was a great character to just kind of pop up once in a while. She usually brought a little levity, and it was really a shame, and it certainly also didn't help with the viewer audience who felt strongly about it being yet another case of uh, network writers and producers icing the gays kind of thing.
Mhm.
You know, whether or not that claim is valid isn't even the point. It's a matter of how it was perceived, which was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But big time, an interesting character, a fun character, a character who gave Sam and Dean a lot of different aspects to play off of that they never got from other people. Just wasted.
Well, and also she was a girl that could run around with, that we didn't think, we knew that they weren't going to start dating or having romantic interests in. And it was nice to have a queer character in the series. It brought all of that in as well, which is
Never-
something we need more of. This whole thing has been very male heavy.
Mhm.
And we never got to see, her and Dean going to a strip bar, bonding
Mhm.
over, or watching porn together. They could have
Oh
watched
God,
Belladonna
that would have been
movie.
so fun to watch them in a bar with exotic dancers, and the two of them like discussing the aspects of some dancer together. That would
Belladonna?
have been so silly.
Yeah.
Well, do you like her? I don't know. That I don't really go for the blondes. I want to see somebody with dark hair.
Yeah.
It would have been
Belladonna,
so much fun.
Yeah.
Eh.
I lost track where we are.
Lola.
Me?
Lola. Oh, wait.
No,
Oh, Melissa. Go ahead, Melissa.
Goes this way.
about a boy. What if they got Rowena or another witch to DH Dean to the day before or even the year before he got the mark? Because there has to be some sort of age control in what the witch did for Hansel and Gretel, right? Because otherwise, if there was no control, they would have had a 16-year-old or a 3-year-old. So there had to be some sort of a control mechanism to put the age back. So why couldn't a witch as powerful as Rowena have cooked up figured it out and DH Dean to right before he got the mark? Then we get rid of that whole nonsense of Dean going off the deep end and blah blah blah.
And the mark just disappears magically.
Right, because we know that when he was de-aged, the mark was gone from his being a kid. So it stands to reason if they de-age him to just before he gets the mark, he's not going to have it. And problem solved.
That's very elegant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Elektra?
Fan fiction, which is one of my absolute favorite episodes. What if the subplot of why they showed up just didn't exist at all, with the people disappearing, and instead Becky called them because she'd heard this musical was going on, and she tricked them into coming by claiming there was a job for them, and instead she just wanted them to come and see the musical because she thought it was really cool. And we got to see more of the musical, and it was just a fun episode without the undercurrent of them trying to save people for a
We could
change.
have gotten to the robots in the second
Yes, we
act.
could have seen the robots and all the crazy stuff in Act 2.
Yeah.
Because, why not?
Why not? Lola?
All right, episode 18, Book of the Damned. So this is and I was thinking about Metatron. So there's this whole side quest where Metatron and Castiel are trying to get Castiel's grace back. Castiel got Metatron from heaven, and he's basically the marshal for Metatron, not a very good marshal. So Metatron says it's in a library because nobody ever goes to libraries anymore. They're safe. And so Metatron says that the angel who hid it for him hid clues in his favorite books. So we don't get to see what Metatron's favorite books are, if I remember correctly, but I have thought about what they would be, and they're by Judy Blume. I'm thinking Forever because it has that sex scene where they're on a floor. And I remember being, 12 or whatever and reading that and being like, oh my God, that's so naughty. Oh, I hope my mom doesn't know I'm reading this. So he would read that and be like, fascinating. Oh my goodness, this young love. And he would just be all into it. He would, he would probably pay someone to act it out. He'd do a musical for someone to act out. And of course, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, because she bears her soul so much. And it's so, it's just being in the mind of a 12-year-old girl in the 60s, it's so raw and vulnerable. I think he would love it. He would consider them
You would
epics.
imagine that he was the God that she was talking to.
Of course. Are you there? Me, it's me, Margaret. Or no, am I here? It's you, Margaret. That could be the name of the episode. Am I here? It's you, Margaret.
Yep. Well, I thought the Steins were interesting opponents. And while they absolutely got what was coming for them, and that fight scene with Dean and the Stein complex is amazing, they could have been, and we've said this before on some of the villains that only pop up for an episode or two, they could have been worthy villains a little longer. They could have caused a little more mayhem. And we could have found out a little more about their nefarious Louisiana network. Just to see, well, what happens when he takes out all the Steins. And we know this in real life, like when you arrest the mob boss and send them off to prison, then they're usually turf wars because everybody else moves in. So, okay, the Steins are gone. Who takes over? And maybe they're worse. And maybe there's, maybe they are more supernatural than the Steins. So I think they could have played with that and given us some more interesting bad guys.
Mhm.
Just
Steins move out. It's the descendants of Mr. Hyde that move in.
Yeah,
Clearly.
that makes a lot of sense to me.
That's kind of like my next one.
That makes sense. Carole?
So back to About a Boy, just even more straightforward, what if they aren't able to DH him? What if he's stuck? What if he stays that age? And they have to deal with all of these, because Sam and him know that he's an adult, but he can't just go into bars and drink.
He has to go to school.
Forget getting lucky. Yeah, people are always going to be like, why aren't you at school, young man? There'd be a kind of a benefit in some ways that he might be able, he could go undercover in school, and he can fit in and out of places that Sam can't. He would be an endless foil for Sam's jokes. It would have been but it would have been overall very difficult for them, I think.
But they would have had to leave hunting. Like that's the thing that Sam's like, we can't because it's too dangerous. And so now
they say that's it. Sam's like, we can't do this, so we're gonna just park it for a while. There just could have been a lot of really interesting directions.
Well, Sam goes to law school, and maybe Dean actually applies himself to his books, and maybe they both become, they both have backup careers for when they're, Jody and Donna and all those people have like careers in law enforcement while also hunting. Why can't Sam end up being like the DA while also hunting?
Dean could go back to that boys' home where he spent those few months.
And at the very least, he wouldn't have the mark of Cain.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
he could end up like eventually running a home like that while hunting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are
That'd be
all
it.
sorts of possibilities if he actually went out and got his degree. Maybe he'd get a degree in social work.
He'd be the meanest social worker. I don't have time for your problems.
No,
Melissa?
it's
That's
a
a good
different
idea.
perspective when you're an adult and you go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. He wouldn't be able to drive baby. That would really boil him. That would be rough. That would be the hardest part for him. Having to
And
give up
homework's
baby.
a lot easier when you're older.
Oh my goodness. And the new math. I don't understand the new math. I looked at it once and I was like, I'm out of here. Peace, bitches.
Well, it wouldn't be the new math though, consider the time frame. So
Right.
you wouldn't have
Oh.
had to deal with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good. Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's right. Okay, good.
So Melissa, what's your choice?
Carol, this one's for you. The things we left behind. What if Cass can't find Claire? Then we don't have any of the Claire wine. It's not the actor's fault. It is the writers, the way they wrote her. Claire is probably one of my least favorite characters. And so if Cass can't find her, then we don't have to deal with all of that.
Whiny
you very
teenage
much.
girl. I skipped her parts. I rewatched 3 episodes today, and whenever she was on the screen, I just went forward, 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 and you can just watch her go.
Elektra?
Hibbing 911. How about if Doug had seen what was going on and had been super impressed by what Donna was doing and had just been, like so taken with Donna's ability to deal that he'd just been like, oh, wow, Donna, like you're just so super. And he'd been, we need to try again. And she'd been like, yeah, get over it, dude. I mean, I don't need you. I'm over you, man. And she had moved on.
Nice.
And he tried to be a hunter and of course totally failed at it. And she gave him a nice eulogy at his funeral.
Okay. Lola.
Okay, so this is kind of online with, I think maybe, I don't remember if it was Elektra, someone kind of guessed what my next one was, but I have a little bit of a different take on it. So episode 21, Dark Dynasty, the Steins. So we learned they are descended from Dr. Frankenstein. But what if it had been another fictional horror story character who turned out to be real? I mean, I was thinking Ichabod Crane from Hudson Valley, New York. So what if his family, spread out across the United States, but wherever they were, people would end up headless. And, turns out they're being followed by the headless horseman. So no matter where they go, the headless horseman come and he kills people. And Sam and Dean have to trek that. And, they have to go all over the US instead of just the Midwest. Maybe they even have to go to California or something. Who knows?
Maybe they learned to harness the power of the horseman and sort of point him at the people they didn't like.
I like that. Like a sick 'em, like, yeah, kind of like Rowena's curse that turns people into a dog. Yeah.
Well,
like
I want that person to die. So I'll make I'll ask them out on a date and pretend I really like them. And then the horseman will take care of them for me.
And then you see the scene of the horseman, the horse and the horseman without his head on the cliff overhead. And, the horse neighs, and it's all very murky and romantic, but in California, because we got to get them out of the Midwest because they're always in the Midwest. Come on, let's travel some.
Hudson Valley's nice.
Oh, I'm sure it is, but they need to travel some. Let's get them out somewhere besides Louisiana.
One comment on Hibbing 911 is, I would have liked to have seen Deputy Kathleen from the Benders because she was in Hibbing.
Okay.
So, I would have loved to have seen her there. And all of the law enforcement that the boys have run into over the years, it would have been hysterical for them to walk in their Fed suits and they're going, hey, why are the Fish and Wildlife guys here? They're not Fish and Wildlife, they're Bureau of Land Management. No, they aren't Bureau of Land Management, they're
Homeland.
CIA. And this whole discussion about all the different groups,
And all the names, all the different names. Isn't that Detective Richie Sambora?
yeah. So that I would have really enjoyed seeing that. Okay, back to Carol.
Oh gosh, me again. Let's visit Charlie again. When she comes back from Oz and we see her doing things and we don't realize yet that, she's been split in two, which by the way was on Star Trek back in the 60s. What if she's just bad? What if it's just Charlie went bad? Charlie went rogue and, either something happened to her and stripped her good away and all that's left is bad, or whatever, for whatever reason, Charlie is bad. And she's really smart, so she could get away with a whole bunch of stuff and steal, like millions of stuff, set herself up with, all kinds of pretty girl toys and stuff. But, do they eventually have to put her down? Do they, how do they deal with her? Do they figure out how to ship her off somewhere or what? Bad Charlie, and got to deal with it.
Well, I love the quote by Felicia Day that, that fight scene with Dean when evil Charlie wraps her thighs around Jensen Ackles' head was like the pinnacle of her acting career.
And don't think we all don't envy her.
That's right. That's right. Melissa?
Right. Well, I actually had this written down. I swear I didn't copy it. I do have it written down. What if, same episode, There's No Place Like Home, Bad Charlie and Demon Dean take off. They go on an epic bad road trip. Mayhem, murder, maybe. At least murder of like bad creatures and stuff. Because remember, Charlie had trained to be a hunter. So they could go on this epic monster hunting trip with all of the strip clubs because that would really feed in. So yeah, I need a Demon Dean
and think
Bad
of the
Charlie
money
road
they save
trip.
on wardrobe.
No, like just that was an opportunity that really got missed. I really needed to see that because I thought that would be fun.
Okay. Elektra.
The things we left behind. I know they focused really hard on how Castiel and Jimmy Novak left behind a daughter. What if Claire had been a son? What if Claire had been Clarence? And instead of them trying to deal with this girl child, Clarence had been, just another one of the guys. And they'd been like, oh, right, yeah, like, you want to learn how to hunt? Yeah, sure, we're up on that. And they'd just sort of taken Clarence under their wing and decided that, yeah, he could come live at the bunker and they'd teach him how to hunt. And they were just totally cool with it because the problem with Claire was she was a girl and they just did not know how to deal with a cute blonde girly girl. But a guy? Yeah, sure, Clarence, no problem.
I like that.
That would have been like a totally different thing.
Lola?
Okay, this is my last one, and this is my weakest one. I'm going to be honest. So same Dark Dynasty, that dark episode where we lose Charlie. So when Charlie and Rowena are together, they're really bickering. And for a few seconds there, I was like, I think I'm feeling this. I'm like, I think this is going to do something. I think something's going to happen, and I think I'm here for it. I was just kind of waiting, but they didn't. Instead, they had Charlie leave. And I'm like, no, wait, because, bickering kind of comes out of like chemistry, you got the fireworks and stuff. And I was like, I'm here for this. Let's make this happen. What do I have to do to make this happen?
2 combustible redheads.
Right. I'm like, let's do this thing. I mean, yes, there's the age difference. The May 1890, December 2015 age difference. I know. But you know what? Love finds a way. You can't put a bottle of top
and
on love.
Rowena knew about 5th base.
she probably knew all the bases. She could probably make bases.
Yeah. So
I'm still here for it. It's been 10 years, but let's get it done.
well, I'm going to go with Reichenbach because even with Dean as a demon, he should have offed Cole. I could just see, even that whole speech, and then at the end, him going, "Yeah, no, you still messed with Sammy."
Yep.
Because he should have,
Yep.
and or bring Cole back when they got rid of Walton Roy and used him as cannon fodder against the British man of letters. I would have been okay with that too. But Cole got away with hurting Sammy. And that's not okay. And I think Demon Dean would have been of the mindset really of nobody gets to kill Sammy except me, which would have been a very Demon Dean thing. And we even now know that the actor who played Gordon considers his death on Supernatural to be his finest on-screen death. So, we could have given Cole a good send-off, maybe not razor wire good, but something. He just had it coming and he should have gotten it. So that's my thought on that. Well, folks, as usual, we have blown through our time. So before we wrap up, let's let everybody get a chance to say where to find you online. And if you have a new, recent, or upcoming project, let us know, starting with Carole.
I am on Facebook, Carole Stokes, and on lots and lots and lots of continual panels, and in the TFWMC Supernatural group. All of my fanfic under Firestein 10 is on AO3, mind the tags. And as Ellis Colton, I am an MM romance writer, and all of my social media links and books are linked at elliscolton.card, CARRD.co.
Okay, Melissa.
You can find Kitty and I here talking on Continual, talking about Supernatural.
Elektra.
Elektra Hammond, you can find me at untilmidnight.com, and you can find me on Mastodon at electra@wandering.shop. And I've got a recent story that came out at ZNB Presents magazine.
Very good. Lola.
I'm Lola Laracy. You can Google me and you'll either find me or a whole list of dead ladies and one day I'll be one of them. God willing.
And I'm Gail C. Martin and Morgan Bryce. And you can find me at the .com of that. Those are the names I use on social media. So if you spell them right, you'll find me there too. I do run the Supernatural TFWNC group here on Facebook. I'm a columnist for the Winchester Family Business, but most of the time I'm here on Continual. So I will see you all later. Thank you all so much for being fantastic panelists. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There will be more Supernatural coming up soon on Continual. So we'll see you online.